ವಶಾಗೆ ಮಾಮಾ ಹೌಲಾ ಸೀದಾ ಗುಳುಂ ಹುರಿ ಬಲಿತ ಮಿಗುತುಂ ಕೇಂ ಬೊಯ್ಮುಗೆ ನುರಂಗಳು ಆದತಕ ಹೆಲಿಫೆಲಿವೆಗಳು ಮದೂಮಾ ದುಂಫತ್ ಕೆ ಇಸ್ತಿಮಾಲ್ ಕುರುಂ ಅದಿ ರಾಬುಯಿಂ ಫದ ಆದಕಾದತಂ ಹಿಮೆನೆ
Making headlines this hour. The ambassador of Saudi Arabia to the Maldives, Yahya Hassan Al-Qahtani, presents his letter of credence to President Dr. Mohamed Muiz. Vice President Hossein Mohamed Latif has concluded a 4-day official visit to Seville. And Mohammad Saeed, the Minister of Economic Development and Trade, states that Maldives has entered a new chapter of commercial expansion propelled by the operationalization of its free trade agreement with China.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. The ambassador of Saudi Arabia to the Maldives, Yahya Hassan Al-Qahtani, presents his letter of credence to President Dr. Mohamed Muiz at a ceremony held on today morning at the President's office. The ambassador was escorted to the President's office from Republic Square in a cultural procession, Haikkalu, accompanied by the Maldives National Defense Force drum and trumpet band. Following the presentation, the President and the ambassador discussed areas of mutual interest. The President expressed appreciation for Saudi Arabia's continued support to the Maldives, particularly the brotherly relations upheld by the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, King of Saudi Arabia, Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, and the government and people of Saudi Arabia. He further reaffirmed his support for Saudi Arabia. The President also extended gratitude to Saudi Arabia for the inclusion of the Maldives in the Makkah Route Initiative, commending the services provided under the program and the ongoing improvements for pilgrims. The ambassador thanked the President for the warm welcome. Both the President and the ambassador reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening and sustaining the enduring relationship between the two nations. Diplomatic relations between the Maldives and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia were established on the 17th of March 1981. Vice President Hossein Mohamed Latif concludes a 4-day official visit to Seville, Spain, where he attended the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development held from the 30th of June to the 3rd of July 2025 under the auspices of the United Nations.
The Vice President's agenda was anchored in calls for substantive reform of the global financial framework with particular emphasis on the structural challenges confronting small island developing states. Across the summit's formal sessions, Vice President Latif maintained a visible presence, engaging in the opening ceremony and a range of high-level meetings. He delivered a keynote address at the multi-stakeholder roundtable on reforming the international financial architecture and addressing systemic issues, outlining the need for inclusive representation of SIDS in multilateral financial institutions. His remarks also highlighted the importance of sustainable debt strategies and urged a recalibration of international credit rating systems to account for disparities in scale and development. Echoing this reformist platform, the Vice President convened several Maldives-led side events that spotlighted government efforts to cultivate a resilient and inclusive economy. Initiatives presented included the newly launched Muraka Insurance Initiative alongside targeted support for micro, small and medium enterprises, particularly those led by youth and women entrepreneurs. His engagement in fiscal reform continued at the Debt Sustainability Support Service event organized on the margins of the conference. The session convened senior officials from national governments and representatives from United Nations agencies and institutions. In his intervention, Vice President Latif reaffirmed the Maldives' enduring support for the SIDS Debt Sustainability Support Service and committed to advancing its objectives through multilateral cooperation. Capping the diplomatic visit, the Vice President attended attended formal banquets hosted by the King and Queen of Spain and Prime Minister. Accompanying him throughout were senior government officials who contributed to high-level discussions across the conference program.
Mohammed Saeed, Minister of Economic Development and Trade, states that Maldives has entered a new chapter of commercial expansion propelled by the operationalization of its free trade agreement with China enacted on the 1st of January and already delivering measurable results.
Among the first indicators is the launch of canned fish production in China utilizing sustainably harvested Maldivian skipjack tuna. Minister Saeed credited this development to the resolute steps taken by President Dr. Mohamed Muiz, describing the agreement as a transformative force in shaping the nation's trade outlook. Chinese firms have already moved to realize the pact's commercial potential. Weihai QZ Blue Seafoods Corporate Limited and the Jingwei Dao brand commenced manufacturing canned fish using Maldivian tuna, with an inaugural batch formally presented to Maldivian Ambassador to China, Fazil Najib, signifying the transition from policy agreement to operational delivery. This accord outlines duty-free provisions from 296 seafood categories exported from the Maldives to China. It also permits Maldivian enterprises to import additional seafood, apply value-added processing in accordance with the World Trade Organization standards, and re-export the upgraded products to Chinese markets. The implications for the fishing industry are far-reaching. Renowned for its environmentally responsible methods, particularly the pole and line technique whereby each fish is individually caught, the Maldives has built a reputation for sustainable seafood. The FTA now offers a pathway to deepen that reputation, enabling broader access to Chinese processing facilities and consumer markets.
Minister of Fisheries and Ocean Resources, Mr. Ahmad Shyam, says government seeks deeper Singapore ties to spur fisheries growth.
The Fisheries Minister says that the government is advancing efforts to deepen engagement with Singapore's public institutions and private sector to accelerate growth across its fisheries and mariculture industries, which are key pillars of the national economy. The strategy was detailed by the minister in an interview with PSM News following the Maldives-Singapore Business Forum held in Singapore. Minister Shyam stated that detailed project information had been shared with potential Singaporean stakeholders, identifying wide-ranging opportunities for investment. Minister Shyam says that of particular focus is mariculture, which has been designated as a national priority by President Dr. Mohamed Muiz. According to the minister, these proposals are routinely placed on the agenda at high-level discussions, including forums chaired by the president. During an official visit to Singapore, President Muiz met with the country's president and prime minister, where he presented his outlook for expanding the Maldives fisheries sector. Minister Shyam also introduced plans for designated zones dedicated to sports fishing harbors, an initiative designed to broaden the Maldives tourism portfolio while integrating recreational activities more directly with the fisheries sector. The minister reiterated that the country's vision for sectoral advancement will be pursued through collaborative efforts with both government and private sector partners in Singapore. He noted that Singapore currently imports Maldivian tuna and sea cucumbers and noted the intention to expand this trade. Lastly, he added that joint initiatives will be structured to yield direct benefits for Maldivian fishing communities.
The Maldives Marketing and PR Corporation meets with the British High Commission to discuss opportunities for collaboration on its tourism promotion efforts. The meeting was led by MMPRC Managing Director Ibrahim Shiuri and Deputy British High Commissioner to Maldives Tof Wahab. The discussions were centered around exploring new ways to diversify the Maldives' unique tourism offerings and strengthen its appeal to UK visitors, while also supporting the High Commission's flagship events. The United Kingdom has become only the third country to cross the 100,000 tourist arrivals mark so far this year. As the third highest tourist source market for the Maldives, tourist arrivals from the UK have reached 108,371 in the first 6 months of the year. The government aims to attract 2.3 million tourists to the globally renowned tourism destination this year. Maldives Marketing and PR Corporation unveils the Visit Maldives Local Ambassadorship Program aimed at providing local artists and creators the opportunity to share their creative talent with the world during the country's tourism promotion campaigns. The Visit Maldives Local Ambassadorship program is designed to increase the popularity of Maldives as a culturally and artistically rich destination around the world. MMPRC said this program aims to work with interested parties to showcase Maldives' culture, heritage, and products with the rest of the world through the work and creativity of local artists. The agency added that participants will have the opportunity to promote tourism in the country as a Visit Maldives local ambassador and gain visibility on international platforms. The opportunity is open to all Maldivian artists interested in representing the country's identity, culture, and natural beauty. Interested applicants have been requested to prepare a short proposal including their name, portfolio, and ideas for tourism promotion and email it to proposals@visitmaldives.com. The government offers more concessions on loans to finance the installation of refrigerated seawater systems on fishing vessels.
This initiative aims to ensure the preservation of catch freshness and quality, thereby bolstering the fishing industry. The RSW financing facility is a collaborative effort between the Ministry of Fisheries and Ocean Resources and the SME Development Finance Corporation. The ministry, in an announcement, said the eligibility criteria for the financing facility has been further relaxed to encourage more applications. According to the ministry, the credit history criteria of applicants has been reduced to 3 months from the previous 12 months. The ministry has reopened applications under the relaxed eligibility criteria. Applications for the financing facility can be made through the SDFC online portal. The government is offering loans ranging from $6,486 to $129,729 without requiring a mortgage. The RSW financing facility features a grace period of 6 months with repayment terms extending up to 10 years. The government envisions that the installation of RSW facilities on all fishing vessels will effectively address the challenges fishermen face in acquiring ice to maintain the freshness of their catch. This financing facility is a key component of the administration's broader initiative to streamline and simplify the process for fishermen to secure the necessary resources.
Insight into business, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva stresses the importance of multilateralism during the BRICS Bloc Business Forum 2025.
The BRICS summit is scheduled to kick off today in Rio de Janeiro. Brazilian President Lula advocated for economic cooperation between emerging economies in front of business people and representatives of the BRICS countries. The leader also called for an end to wars and conflicts around the world, saying that there will be no prosperity in a conflicted world. The BRICS summit, which is taking place between the 6th and the 7th of July, is expected to discuss issues such as poverty, climate finance, trade, and artificial intelligence. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is among the world leaders attending the BRICS summit this year.
Update on international news. Israeli strike on residential building overnight in Gaza's city's Sheikh Radwan neighborhood kills several Palestinians and injures others.
According to the Gaza Health Ministry, 80 Palestinians were killed and 304 were injured in the past 24 hours, while others remain trapped under the rubble. The ministry did not specify where or how exactly they had been killed. The strikes comes as Israel said it will send a delegation to Qatar for talks on a possible Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal, although Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said the changes requested by Hamas to a ceasefire proposal were unacceptable. Palestinian group Hamas said on Friday it had responded to a U.S.-backed Gaza ceasefire proposal in a positive spirit a few days after U.S. President Donald Trump said Israel had agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize a 60-day truce. But in a sign of the potential challenges still facing the two sides, a Palestinian official from a militant group allied with Hamas said concerns remained over humanitarian aid, passage through the Rafah crossing in southern Israel to Egypt, and clarity over a timetable for Israeli troop withdrawals.
Top stories in sports, with Real Madrid edging past Borussia Dortmund 3-2 in a dramatic Club World Cup quarter-final to set up a last-four clash with Paris Saint-Germain. Their fans exited MetLife Stadium triumphantly.
They offered up the classic club chant, "This is how Madrid wins." The Spanish giants stamped their authority on the match early at the MetLife Stadium, dominating possession and opening a 2-goal lead thanks to strikes by Gonzalo and Fran Garcia in the 10th and 20th minute. Gonzalo, the 21-year-old forward, continuing his breakout tournament, opened the scoring with a close-range volley from Arda Gula's cross. 10 minutes later, Garcia doubled Real's lead, arriving at the far post to turn in Trent Alexander-Arnold's low delivery after an incisive move down the right. Jude Bellingham and Vinicius Jr. squandered chances to extend Real's lead before halftime, while Aurelien Tchouameni came closest in the second half, rattling the crossbar with a curling effort from the edge of the box.
I think it's a good test run for the World Cup itself, Obviously, we have the cooling breaks here, but, when it comes to the games themselves, they've been extremely competitive. You've seen teams in Brazil outside of Europe that have really competed with the European teams. So I think it's just, it evens the playing field, and it shows, that these smaller nations potentially in the 2026 World Cup, that they can compete and they can come to the U.S. and they can win the World Cup.
Despite the reduced intensity of play in New Jersey's scorching heat, Real comfortably saw out the match, leaving Dortmund unable to mount a comeback until the game exploded into life in 10 minutes of mayhem in added time. Substitute Maximilian Bayer pounced on a rebound in the 93rd minute to pull one back for Dortmund, but a minute later, Kylian Mbappe restored Real's 2-goal cushion with a stunning volley. Dortmund refused to back down, however, and Serhou Guirasssy's pace saw him break through Real's defense, only to be pulled down in the box by Dean Howson. The defender was shown a straight red card, ruling him out of the semi-final, and Guirassy coolly converted the resulting spot kick to reduce the deficit to 3-2. Dortmund came within inches of forcing extra time when in the 9th minute of added time, Thibaut Courtois produced a sensational save to deny Marcel Sabitzer's powerful strike.
On to more interesting news. Teams from around the world escaped the summer heat in Ljubljana in a unique volleyball on water tournament.
The Magic on the Water contest, in its 5th year, sees teams of 2 challenge each other on a volleyball court submerged 12 centimeters in the Ljubljanica River in the heart of Slovenia's capital. Organizer Kristina Taya Grunfeld said teams from 14 countries from as far afield as Latin America were taking part this year, but that Slovenia remained dominant. A Slovenian female team are the current champions, having won 3 competitions in a row.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ihal from PSM News.